welcome to our first episode of RPC Reverse Preparedness channel. Now, I am your host, Alex Rivera, and today we're going to be talking about two very iconic pistols in history. Of course, you may have guessed it, the first pistol on the list today is our wonderful, the one and only 45 ACP Queen, the 1911. And also, we have one of Jones Browning's most successful ladies as well here on the other side of the ring, and that is your Browning High Power. Now, quick disclaimer, guys, none of the firearm manufacturers that I will show you guys here have provided this firearms for review. These firearms were purchased by me, so there was no exchange of money, so I'm completely unbiased to their firearms, other than because of my preferences. Now, I'm going to start talking about, you guessed it, the 1911 pistol. Now, the 1911 pistol was invented back in the 1890s by John Moses Browning, and his idea was to provide our troops with something that will grant them a little bit more stopping power than the 38 long Colt revolvers that were issued back then. So Browning develops a semi-automatic, single-action fire, short recoil operated, magazine-fed pistol, which becomes eventually the 1911. Now, the 1911 feeds from a single stack magazine, usually 7 to 8 rounds of 45 ACP. The 45 ACP was developed specifically for the 1911, and ACP stands for automatic Colt pistol. Now, guys, when we got to talk about the 1911, we're going to start in the back here, right? So we have our amazing grips here. This is a standard GI model that I slightly modify a bit. But your standard grips in the 1911 are usually your checker walnut grips. Now, from here we go straight into one of the most remarkable, not remarkable, but maybe recognizable features of the 1911 pistol, and that will be your grip safety. Now, this has been a object on the pistol, a safety measure on the pistol that has many dislikes and likes. So, a lot of people complain that, well, you're adding an extra layer of security to the pistol, and that's a good thing. Some other people say, well, you know what if I don't get a good grip on that pistol and they won't fire, and now my life is at risk? Okay, well, as everything else, I believe that it's just a training issue. So the more you train with the pistol, the more proficient you get, this becomes less of a problem for you. I mean, it's a very safety right there. The moment you put your hand positively and get control of that firearm, usually that safety is engaged and you're able to fire. Now, the 1911 does not only have the grip safety, but also the safety on this side here on the left side of the pistol, and is designed to be operated by a right-handed shooter. From there, and I want to show you guys also, I will show you later on a little bit modernized version, so you can see kind of like the improvements that have been made throughout the years. From here, you can see the original 1911, so it has serrations on the back here. Sides are pretty conventional military iron sights with your 3-dot configuration. This again is a 1991 design, and but the sights work just fine, good enough for government work, if you know what I mean. And nothing really to write home about. Now, from there we go to the trigger, and that trigger is one of the features people talk the most about in 1911s. 1911s have the reputation of there having some of the best triggers in the market. In this case, this one here has been slightly modified with an extended weaver tail, escalatonized hammer and trigger, all of them by Wilson Combat. And then from there you have a beautiful blue finish, and a match grade barrel, as you can see here. There we go. But that's a standard, usually either GI or government model configuration with the 5-inch barrel and 7 to 8 round magazine. Now, as a contrast to that, we have a Rock Island Armory BBR 3.10. In this case here, and this little baby, you can really immediately see how smaller this firearm is, this 1911 is, compared to your traditional GI model. A funny feature about this one, for example, is the fact that when looked this way, you can see how thick that magazine well is, and it's because of one single reason. That BBR 3.10 fits from a dual stack 45 ACP magazines, a whole 10 rounds. And now also we have something here a little bit more tactical for my operators out there. You know what you are. We have a Springfield Marine Corps operator pistol, also chamber and 45 ACP, but this is your modernized version of that initial 1911 I show you. As you can see here, this 1911 comes from the factory with everything already skeletonized, extended weaver tail, suppressor height sights, Trigicon RMRs, match grade barrels and whatnot, G10 grips, you name it. The only features that I have added to this one, just to give you an idea, is the obviously Surefire UBX 300 flashlight and your full guide rod. Now guys, 1911s, we're going to start with the pros of the pistol. To me, some of those pros are definitely a 45 ACP caliber. It's a caliber that, in my opinion, hits a lot harder than 9mm does. And only from, speaking strictly from a self-defense perspective, it's just bare physics. It's a bigger chunk of lead you throw in down range. Now, your cons, and that is debatable, is obviously your you have a platform that is a little older, so your ergonomics and whatnot are not sometimes described as the best by especially more modern shooters. Also, and probably the biggest withdrawal of a 1911 pistol is your round capacity. Usually you're sticking to 8 to 7 rounds, though Wilson Combat, for example, they offer 10 round magazines, but they do protrude a bit out of the firearm, so they're obviously not flush. Do I love a 1911? 100%, absolutely. It's a very accurate pistol, and in my opinion, very reliable. It always has the history part of it to it as well, that it has over 100 years worth of service out there, and is being used by many units in the military and law enforcement. Now, on the other hand, we have another of John Browning's gorgeous ladies here, and in this case, we have the one and only Browning High Power. Now, the Browning High Power was designed originally by Browning, but not finished by him. The problem was that most of the features that were included in the Browning High Power were taken from the 1911, such as the safety and things like that. I will go deeper into that. But the thing was that because of those features that Browning incorporated in the original design were owned by Colt at the time, and that patent did not expire until 1928. Now, Mr. Browning dies in 1926 before the pistol could be finished. So F.N. Herstal acquires the patent, and Mr. Saeed, and I'm probably butchering his name, I apologize for that, but just so you guys know, he's the father of, the iconic FAL. He finishes Browning's design and puts it out on the market in 1935. Now, this one right here is a Browning Mark III. The Mark III has some improvements when compared to the original design, such as the external extractor, which was one of the first features added to the Browning High Power to increase reliability. Now, when we look at the Browning High Power, and we do exactly how we did with the 1911, we start from back here. And as you can see here, your Mark III would just have become from the factory with this synthetic plastic grips. Now, those grips are, even though there's hundreds and hundreds of aftermarket parts out there, I will tell you, I was kind of surprised of how well my hand fits on those grips. They're so comfortable to hold. And then from there, we go to basically, it's a very 1911 style thumb safety. The good thing about the Mark III is that it incorporated that safety on both sides of the pistol. So even left-hander, if you're a left-handed or right-handed shooter, you wouldn't have a problem deactivating that safety. From there, we go up to here to the hammer. And as I was telling you before, guys, when I show you my 1911 with that skeletonized hammer by Wilson Combat, this baby over here is more of what you will see in a 1911 GI. Now, some shooters report issues with this hammer here, and it's basically for one single reason. The reason being that depends how big your hands are, and mine are right there, kind of like a medium to big size. When you hold the pistol properly, and you can see there, I'm trying to show you on top of a white stripe so you can see the gap. It's very small, so it depends how you hold it. This hammer might bite you. So people with bigger hands, guys may want to consider like going online and buying one of those rounded hammers like the one I have on my 1911, and that will solve your problems. Now from there, we'll go here to the the sights on the pistol, again, very traditional iron sights. You have these two white stripes on the back, and the front sight is completely blacked out. Nothing to write home about, but very effective. Just the simple, good enough for government work, right? As we say. So from there, we're gonna move right here into the trigger. And let me tell you something what goes along with the pistol and the history it has. So the Browning High Power is born from a French military requirement to create a pistol with some parameters. Some of those parameters where the pistol should hold at least 10 rounds, have the capabilities of killing a man within 50 feet, and it should include a magazine disconnect. Now, that is one of the things that I know a lot of you guys that like Browning High Powers don't agree with, and in my opinion, it is for sure true that safety magazine safety disconnect is it makes the trigger a lot worse. It makes it mushy, long travel, not a clean break, etc. Now, in this one here, in this case, and again, this firearm is clear, but as you can see, I deactivated that mechanism, and the trigger does feel a lot better. Now, from there, as you can see, the traditional Browning also has serrations only on the back. And as you look at the gun as a whole, like the silhouette itself, it looks a lot also like a 1911. Now, the Browning High Power feeds from a 13 round 9mm magazine. So Browning went over three rounds more than the French were requiring. But nowadays, you can even buy 15 round magazines for your Browning High Power to flush in the gun. Now, what are the pros of the Browning High Power? So obviously, number one pro on the Browning High Power is your capacity. Even that is such an old gun, again, designed original 1935. You're looking at capacities over here that rival your Glock 19s on the market with the same amount of rounds, 15 plus 1. So capacity for a Browning High Power is pretty impressive. Another advantage that I see of the Browning High Power is how accurate they are. They're very fun to shoot pistols. I'm a big sucker for a full metal frame pistol. Hey, nothing wrong with you guys, my Glock guys and my Pre-320 guys. Hey, we all have preferences. This is mine, okay? But your full metal Browning High Power is a pleasure to shoot. Now, disadvantages, well, we talk about the hammer and how for bigger shooters with bigger hands, this may be a problem. And a lot of you folks out there, you don't like safeties to begin with. And then again, it comes more of like, we're rejecting this old designs in favor of like more modern handguns like a Glock or a P320 that have no external safeties. But guys, honestly, both firearms are amazing. They are really reliable. They are really accurate. And would I suggest these firearms for any kind of defensive purposes, of competition purposes, of course? They are absolutely incredible. But again, firearms are only as good as the shooters behind it. So please go ahead and get out there, get trained. Lots of good places to get training from, and it's really important to know that you want to be that guy. You want to be that shepherd. You want to be that guy that is so trained, is so good at what he does that he becomes an asset to society rather than a liability. I have nothing else for you guys. This has been your host, Alex Rivera, and I see you in the next episode. Stay safe out there.